Welcome to season 2 of Mona's World of Becoming. If this is your first time, welcome. If you are returning, what is good? Thank you for holding it down for the last 10 months of this podcast. It feels so good to be back. I actually took a 2-month break. Why, Mona? Why did you take a 2-month break? I'm gonna tell y'all, calm down. I gave birth to my twins 2 weeks ago. And after March, I was kind of exhausted and I needed to slow down. So I took 2 months off of my podcast. I also was trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing with my life. And you know that, oh wow, there's a dragonfly outside the window. You guys know that I will forever encourage you to continue to take time and space for yourself. My greatest rule of thumb, however, is that it's okay to take time, but quitting is not an option. So, have I figured out what I'm doing with my life? I don't know. I'm going to continue to thrive, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. But I don't know. So, what are we talking about today for the first episode of season 2 of Mona's World of Becoming? I turned 30 in April. I need to insert some yay sounds here because I'm really excited about that. I think that the topic of this particular episode is going to be, do you want to be happy? And the reason why we're talking about that today is just because with all of my clients, my tarot clients, my business coaching clients, my life coaching clients over the past several weeks, it's just me consistently asking people like, well, do you want to be happy? Because more often than not, people struggle and it's because they don't want to be. Like, your brain really will try to trick you back down into this place where you need to stay stuck or grounded in trauma and things of that nature to be okay because it's what's normal. And when you start asking yourself questions like, well, do you want to be happy? You have to think about the sacrifice that you need to make to do that. And that sounds so strange, right? Like, oh, well, if I'm really happy, I shouldn't be sacrificing anything, but that's simply not true. The things that you have to sacrifice when you choose to be happy are toxic relationships, limited beliefs, old stagnant ideas. You gotta stop fucking worrying. You have to surrender to joy is something that I've told each and every one of my fucking clients, literally. And we're not talking like 1 or 2, we're talking about like 7, 8, 9, 10 over the course of the last month. You gotta surrender to joy, because what else are you going to do with yourself? Be absolutely miserable? For example, today, like, I was talking to my sister, and I absolutely adore my sister. I have one sister. Just talking to my sister about just some of the life's challenges, because I don't know, just life's challenges in general. And she's running down this list of things that she's worried about at the moment. And I just told her, like, you gotta stop. You have to stop worrying, because worrying is not going to make the solution come any faster. Instead, you have to focus on what you have to be grateful for and what is actually going well in your life. And so for all of you, I want you to know, if you don't know how the fuck you're gonna buy your groceries this week, doesn't matter. Stressing about the fact that you ain't got no fucking food in your house is not going to fill your refrigerator any faster. It's not going to get you approved for food stamps any more quickly. It's not going to it's not going to do anything. It's literally just going to continue to remind you and chip away at any semblance of being happy that you might have had until the solution comes, whenever it comes. If you're moving into your house and you don't know how the fuck you're gonna furnish it, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. We moved into our house at the end of January, beginning of February. Brand new build. Everything that we ever manifested for ourselves when we gave away our life in Wisconsin to move to Tennessee with the shit in the back of our truck, like, that's not a lot. You can't fit a lot inside of a full-size SUV when you're talking about relocating. It's just stuff. You get stuff. Stuff comes around. You have opportunities to buy stuff. People give you stuff. Like, it's okay. But we slept on air mattresses. And even when we moved into this house, when we moved out of our last house, I gave away the majority of our shit. I put a lot of it into storage. And even then, we had decided that we were going to move to Mexico. And all of the stuff that we had in storage, I donated it to charities, to shelters, to people, to the Goodwill, like, just gave it all away. And so when we moved into our home and we were very limited on what we did have, it's fine. My kids had beds. My kids had toys. My kids had clothes. Our mattress was on the floor. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect for you to choose to be happy. And what my husband and I continue to say to each other anytime we like started to spiral a little bit about what we needed, and for a couple months it was a washer and dryer. And you know, growing up, I'm very grateful that I got to experience my mom struggling growing up. And if you've been here for some time, you've heard me say that, like, we grew up very poor. And it wasn't like backcountry trailer park poor, but my mama did the best she could with what she had. And it always felt like a lot, but I didn't realize until I was in my mid-20s that I grew up poor. Like, and so I had the luxury of learning how to wash things in a sink or in a bathtub and watching my mom do those things. So for a couple months, we washed what we needed to, and we're very fortunate to have had enough sheets and covers and clothes and things like that, where if clothes did not get washed for 2-3 weeks at a time, we could still change our sheets weekly. We could still change our comforters weekly. We still had towels, like all of those things, until we were able to get a brand new washer and dryer 2 months, 3 months after moving into our house. Wasn't the end of the world, but instead, every fucking day, I'm so grateful to be here. It's been surreal being able to look outside of my house and watch these grand ass houses being built on the block that we live on, in this brand new subdivision, in this giant fucking house. Like, so the difference between being fucked up about the fact that for a few days, for a little while, like a month and a half, my kids were sitting at a Paw Patrol table on these cute little chairs that we bought. There was no couch. We rolled around like our office chairs and things like that, but in our own space, in a beautiful space. Now shit's furnished. Like, choosing instead gratitude over frustration or being stressed out or trying to go get a fucking loan to furnish a house immediately when it wasn't the end of the world, because at least we had shelter. Like, do you want to be happy? And the point that I am making by even telling this story and like what I talked to my sister about earlier was you literally have to choose the vibration that you are going to focus on in any given situation. And here's a pro tip, a free tip for one of the ways that I teach my life coaching clients how to shift their focus from being stressed and worried to instead choosing happiness, being grateful, and finding something else to fucking focus on is before you start to worry or spiral about anything, you have to instead find 3 things that you are grateful for. And if after you found those 3 things that you're grateful for, you still want to worry, by all means, go nuts. But 9 times out of 10, if it's, damn, I'm down to my last 3 packs of meat in the freezer, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do or how I'm gonna feed my kids. Instead of that, it's, hey, I pulled the last 2 roast out of the fridge or out of the freezer today. We're gonna eat very good. We should have leftovers for tomorrow. Worst case, we get a couple cases of noodles, we make some shake. I have the money to do those things. My children are going to be fed, and tonight we will have a good meal. When you can focus on the fact that today's good, kids are going to be happy about what they're having for dinner tonight. They're going to be able to eat well enough tomorrow and still have something to nourish their bodies in general until I can figure something out. What is there for you to be upset about? And the answer is absolutely fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing. And if you still want to worry after you found all of those beautiful things to be grateful for, you fucked up, friend. But that's your business. But each and every time you want to worry about something, instead, find 3 things that you can be grateful for. If you feel good, you feel satisfied with that, stop there. Don't even bother worrying. If you still want to worry, go ahead. But every day, every time, every situation, you find your 3 things that you are grateful for. And then you shift your focus. So we are 13 minutes in. I'm not going to let this be a forever long episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Devilish Rose. Tap in with www.devilishrose.com to purchase amazing streetwear. This clothing line is made here in this office. My husband designs everything. He puts those things together. You guys can't see the crystals that are on this hoodie, but absolutely fucking phenomenal. Black on brand, go nuts. And that is what today's episode is brought to you by. Let's get back into the video, the podcast. If you're listening or watching, if you're listening and you want to see how much of a mom I look like right now, please go ahead and tap into Mona's World of Becoming on YouTube. If you're watching and you would prefer to instead be able to listen to this in your car, you can check out Mona's World of Becoming online or tap in wherever you like to stream your podcast. Mona's World of Becoming is available every single place in the world except for Apple. Apple, I don't know what your beef is with me, but it's cool. I fuck with Spotify anyway. So, do you want to be happy? Do you want to be happy? And that's the gratitude portion of that. But the other side of do you want to be happy is in my most recent life coaching session that I just did a couple nights ago with a client. We focused on his, first of all, I don't know how many of my listeners are male. I don't think a lot, but I know that there are some men that do patronize my podcast. You listen, you support, you watch the videos. Thank you so much. Black men are out here healing, okay? So shouts out to y'all. I absolutely love that. My male life coaching clients have increased significantly. My male tarot clients have increased significantly, and they're Black men. And I love that. So cheers to y'all. Continue to grow. But in my life coaching session the other night, he and I focused on you want to be happy. And we talked about being rebellious and how a lot of us who have chosen to embark on a spiritual path, we choose to go through these cycles where we think we're sticking our middle fingers up to everybody by not conforming, and I'm rebellious and I'm living life on my terms and like, but you're doing it wrong. True rebellion looks like going against who you have been trained to believe that you are, choosing to live in a place outside of what you've been positioned to believe you have to be, planning for what you want to do in your life, and no matter what, no matter how much time and energy you have to pour into it on a day-to-day basis, waking up every fucking day and choosing to do something that is in alignment with that. And that takes me back to 6 years ago, 2017, when I first started to embark on my spiritual journey. One of the things that I asked for from my husband was I wanted to start journaling. So for Christmas that year, he ended up getting me a journal. And I wrote down this long list of goals. And it's a really, really long list. They were outlandish fucking things to me, especially at that time, because one of the first things I wrote down, and I meant to grab that damn journal on my way up into the office today, but I didn't. One of the things that I wrote down was I wanted to be a mother of 5. And in 2017, I was still very fucking heavy. I ended up losing about 70 pounds. And before I got pregnant with my twins, it was like 5-10 pounds away from my absolute goal weight. Get there. But I went on to lose that weight, and I was still like recovering physically, emotionally, mentally from the loss of a pregnancy. And this wasn't like I was 6 weeks pregnant and had a miscarriage. This is a loss. One that we didn't tell anybody about. So for me to write down in a journal that I wanted to have 5 kids when I had barely managed to have 1 was wild. And I wanted to move to Tennessee and live in the suburbs. And at that time, we were living in a fucking hood house on 24th Place off of Capitol in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you're from Milwaukee, you know that is the goddamn hood. I lived right next to that little shitty ass candy shop and car wash. Crackhead came and stole the door off the garage. Like, it was a wild time. And we had just been evicted from an apartment like the year before that. So for me to be dreaming of moving into a house in the suburbs, it was wild. I wanted to own businesses. I wanted to travel. I wanted to take my husband on a trip to California. Like, I wanted to do all of these things. And I wrote them down. But another thing that I narrowed down and figured out was, after making a list of 10 goals that I wanted to achieve in the next year, and then narrowing that down to 5, and then narrowing that down to 3, and then of the 3, picking one where, like, if this absolutely does not happen, I'll be devastated and feel like I failed the year, I was able to determine that what I really wanted more than anything was to be happy. And at a time where I was trying to unalive myself on a consistent basis, like, I will never forget the day I tore my house up. And this was maybe a couple weeks before Christmas. I was home alone with my child, who was 2 at that time. Tearing my house the fuck apart, wild. There was so much glass. There was so much that was broken. There was so much shit just scattered around my house. because I was frustrated and I couldn't understand why I was having such a hard time in life. And watching a video on how to tie a noose and trying to unalive myself in my pantry while my child was home. Like, so for me to then turn around a couple weeks later and decide that what I really wanted was to be happy at a time where I couldn't figure it out and I was struggling and I felt like I wasn't a woman because my fertility was fucked up. Like, I was still trying to recover from child sexual abuse, like just all of these things. To decide that that was something that I wanted was extremely fucking outlandish, but I'm sitting here recording this video 4 years and some change later, like approaching, well, 5. Approaching 6 years later. Damn, 5.5. And to have literally just given birth to my 4th and 5th child, and to be in this big, beautiful, brand new build, and to own businesses, to even be able to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by my husband's clothing brand, to be recording this podcast, to be talking about my life coaching clients and my business coaching clients and things of that nature. It's unreal. And to even be happy, like, and I'm happy as fuck. I was just, no matter what. And if I were to sit down and tell you every little thing I had going on in my life right now, like an itemized list, somebody'd be like, bitch, you sure you happy? Because that sounds like you should be a little stressed out. Ecstatic. Joyful, jovial, like all of those other things that categorize happiness. I'm happy. I am at peace. I'm comfortable. I'm grateful. I'm all of those things. It's not outlandish, and it literally started by me setting a goal to have 5 kids, to move to the suburbs, to relocate to another state, to own businesses, to have the house of my dreams, to do all of these things, and waking up every day and learning to meditate, learning to do yoga, learning about herbalism and doing research and playing with herbs, which turned into launching brands and so on and so forth, and getting myself to a point where I was juicing and working out and losing weight and coaching other people, like all of these things. It began with me making a list, checking it twice, and continuing to pour into that. So my question is, do you want to be happy? And if the answer is yes, then what you need to do is sit down and write out a list of 10 goals that you want to achieve in the next year. How long did it really take me to be happy after writing that goal down? I became happy at like levels, but total happiness, 4 years. 4 years and a year of therapy is what it took. But every day applying toward this goal, no matter how long it takes you, but make a list of 10 things that you really want to achieve. After you've made that list of 10, look at that list, narrow it down to 5 things of that 10 that you absolutely have to do. And after you've made that list of 5, narrow it down to 3. And then I want you to take a break. Maybe you let a day go by. Maybe you let a week go by. It's up to you. Come back to your list of 3 and pick one where if you absolutely do not achieve this goal, you failed. Let that be the one fucking thing that you are driven toward every single day. If it's happiness, beautiful. Figure out what types of things make you happy. I'm gonna have to make my video on the emotions wheel public, so that you guys can learn how to use that and utilize it for yourselves. We'll have to drop an episode about that. Stay tuned. But you don't stop. And even if all you can do is work for 60 seconds a day toward that particular goal, do. You're also going to make sure that you keep this list. You can fold it up and put it in a box in the back corner of your attic for all I care. Just make sure that you keep the list so that later on down the line you are able to go back to it and revisit it. These lists of goals, don't make them all financial, because it's just money. Like, money flows. The less you are focused on money and the more you are focused on what you feel and hear, the more that shit just dumps into your lap. The more you're focused on trying to make money or like trying to get to a certain place financially, the more it's going to feel like you are climbing a mountain and not making any leeway on it. So don't let all of your goals be financial, but by all means, you want trust funds for your kids, please write it down. And make sure you write down each and every one of their names, because it's important. That's on my list of shit to do too, friends. I have a couple things left on that list of life goals that I had. The shit that's left, if I thought that the things that I have now were outlandish, those things are outlandisher. But I don't have a single fucking doubt in my mind that at some point between now and 5-6 years from now, probably 5 or 6 weeks, those goals will also be realized and attained and happen for me, because everything else did. Not by accident, not by coincidence, but simply because I chose to not fucking stop. Make your list, friends. And remember that if being happy is what you really want, you gotta pour into it every fucking day. You have days where you want to give up. I've had weeks where I've just wanted to absolutely lay down and say, fuck it, absolutely not. But you can't stop. That's not how life works. Remembering that and staying grounded in that and continuing to put forth the effort, whether it's for 60 minutes or 6 hours, toward achieving those goals, is how you are going to be happy. Here's the part where I tell y'all, you can also tap in with me for life coaching sessions, and I can help you continue to compartmentalize your life, and set some goals and things like that so that you can move forward, or tap in for a reading. Believe it or not, my readings are like podcast episodes on crack, that you get to revisit over and over and over again, but they're just for you. So that is all. Thank you for tapping in with me in all of my momness today. I can hear my little babies downstairs crying, and I'm sure they're giving my husband a run for his money. That's all for now. We will tap in for our next episode, 30 things that I learned by 30. I'm very excited about that. The way I showed up on camera is one of those things. It doesn't matter what you look like, just show up. All right. Many blessings to you. I will see you next time.